Hey there, Postal here. So today I'm taking out the plane that nobody asked for. This is the La-160. So I posted a video a couple days ago on the Tier 9 Soviet premium fighter, the Antonov M Masha. And I compared it to what I thought this plane should have been. That Antonov really fits into a Tier 9 Lavochkin line. But that being said, this is the plane you get. And I actually really enjoy this plane, but I can understand why people don't. First, let's talk about, really quick, let's just talk about what the things are that are similar between this and the Antonov and Masha, and that is the airspeed and maneuverability. There's little divots of difference between the two of those, but not enough to really say there's a difference. The maneuverability, slightly in favor of this plane. The airspeed is slightly in favor of the Masha. But not enough to be like, wow, this plane can totally outmaneuver a Masha, or the Masha can totally outspeed this plane. It's not a true statement. So what are the real differences between this plane and the Masha? Well, we know the Masha's got 4 23mm cannons. So we can already tell one difference in the fact that this has 2 30mm cannons. In fact, this plane is very unique. It's the only Soviet plane with 2 30mm cannons on it. In fact, it might be the only Soviet plane with any 30mm cannons on it, but I'd have to think about that. And it's just going to add a left field on this line. And we would be added left field on any of the Soviet lines. So it tends to throw people off. The good thing is... Oh, come on. That you have an excellent Tier 10 plane after this. So even if you don't like 2 30mm cannons, you're still going to get the ridiculously good La-15 afterwards. So you've got that going for you. This guy's still alive? How is that guy still alive? The other big deal is going to be the altitude performance. And altitude's not really talked about all that often when it comes to planes. Like little bits here and there, but as far as like comparing the difference and having it be a significant impact, it's not really talked about, and it needs to be. Especially when you're comparing two planes like this, right? Quick note, you saw what I was doing there with the 30mm cannons. I was not aiming far enough out. You got to give proper lead. And with 30mm cannons, especially these kind, where the speed of the bullets is actually quite slow, you definitely need to be giving proper lead. That can certainly cause frustration when you're using these types of cannons. So, crap. Alright, let's get some distance between me and him. He was going so slow, even though I'm fairly confident I've got some maneuverability specs when it comes to going against things like Spitfire. His lack of airspeed was going to be the difference there. Is this guy going to come head on? No. The other thing with these cannons, you gotta tap, tap, tap. If I just held down the trigger, I would have already overheated. In fact, I did overheat anyway. Alright, I need to save my boost to try to get away from the Spitfire that I couldn't hit, apparently. Okay, holy crap. Whee! Yeah, Spitfire, huh? What do we need to do here? Anyway, so when it comes to 30mm cannons, they're really built for the heavier targets. They're built for taking out chunk damage. This is actually really completely bad interaction versus that Spitfire. I'm not aiming very well when it comes to hitting the planes that I know I can hit. Go. See if we can't save this location real quick. Oh yeah, definitely. I can get this guy, hopefully, before he gets up. Man. Alright, we'll try to get this sector back. Okay, so you got to determine what's your best course of action. And Spitfire, for better or for worse, is going to be able to cause all kinds of problems. It can outturn me. Its lack of speed is actually a good thing for a Spitfire in an interaction versus an La-160. And so, on top of that, my cannons really aren't built for dogfights like that. And so if you get yourself into situations like that, that's what's going to cause a lot of frustration if you're in a plane like the La-160 here. Wait a minute. Are you coming at me, bro? Oh, now there's a Yak-19 as well. Oh man, I've got a lot of going on here. I'd love to be going after the heavy fighters here. Doesn't look like I need to though, so that's cool. Let's head to the center then. Do I need to head to the center? I don't really need to head to the center. Let's actually go defend. Everybody else is going to be going to the center, so let's use our defense capabilities. So it's really about keeping your head on a swivel. You've got great maneuverability, use it, but it's about the lead on your cannons. If you're not hitting your targets, it doesn't matter how good these freaking cannons are. And these guns are really good. But you're throwing not a lot at the wall. And so to get it to stick can sometimes be a little frustrating. We've got a multi-role fighter inbound on our position. Let's go ahead and get some health pack here really quick. Hope we're distracting him by riding along the mountainside here. Got an NC-1070, which has pretty ridiculous rear gunner. So I need to be mindful of that. In fact, I think he almost killed me when we were trying to defend that garrison. We're up by a significant amount of points, so I'm not in the mood to be capturing. I'm trying to give you all some fun interaction here rather than me just winning the game. There we go. Oop, another multi-role fighter. Let's go ahead and kick it over here. Ooh, Jawas are not the most fun. They've got 4 30mm cannons, so it doesn't take nearly as much to kill you when you're in that type of plane compared to this type of plane. Let's see what we can do versus this 1070 again. And you can just see what the frickin' cannons can do, right? Like, no joke. They hit hard. Unfortunately, both the fighters can outturn me, so it's like, we've got to get into the engagements, you know, hopefully in a smart manner. If I can knock out this Spitfire. Aim further ahead. Oh no. There we go. Oh, there's the Yak frickin' 19. Oh, no, 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 no. Aim far enough ahead. There we go. Perfect. Now I got heavy fighters all over my butt, which is not where I like heavy fighters to be. And I knew I wasn't hitting there, so I stopped holding down the trigger because that was just going to be a waste of... Oh, come on. I know I'm popular, but give me a break. I'm not popular. An inside joke. Never mind. Alright, so... we actually could lose this battle because I'm kind of screwing around a little bit too much, right? I got ourselves a Koza dub. Let's go over here and see if we can't defend this sector. We're still up by 150. I'd like to think we'll be okay. I've knocked out the 2 fighters that can actually be a pain in my butt. Let's get some health back. And let's try to go after this Tempest and hope that my lack of altitude performance doesn't come back to bite me here. Again, that's the big difference between this and the Mashas. The Masha can easily get up to a higher altitude. No thoughts about it. There we go. Let's head to the center now. We've got an IL-20, a 262, and a Tempest. Yeah. But we should be able to get the center, maybe? And everything's really far away from me. Why is everything so far away? And I hate going after fighters in this plane. Like, this guy I could kill in like half a shot, or I might miss all my shots, right? Never mind. See if we can't knock out IL-20s. And why are you such a pain? a big boy, but the cannons there could definitely chunk through that. Well, I got some decent medals here. I was playing with fire there, you know. Was definitely wondering if I had done the right thing, trying to get some more personal points out of that, but it did work out for us. So you can see what this plane can do, and hopefully you can see the difference between the two planes. But there are a lot of similarities on paper. It's just the flying style and what targets you're going to be going after are going to be different. Let's head back to the hangar. All right, so we were able to get 18 kills, not quite a postal medal. Shame on me. 4 sectors captured. And that was even, you know, we could have had 5 if we were really, like, super trying. But content. So my whole point of this was to really just kind of point out, you know, that the La-160, it's not a bad plane. It's just a different plane. And I actually quite enjoy this plane. I enjoy this plane more than the Key 162 Mark 1, simply because I don't feel like my engine gets knocked out nearly as much as it does on that Japanese plane. Other than that, they're very similar. But comparing this to the Antonov M, you know, the Antonov, didn't even really realize this. The Antonov has slightly worse maneuverability and slightly worse airspeed. But on paper, like in game, you're not going to notice a huge difference on that. What you are going to notice a huge difference is the guns. Obviously, we already mentioned that 230mm cannons hit hard, but also miss hard. The altitude performance, the Antonov has significantly better altitude, and you're going to notice that in the La-160. Remember, you lose a lot of that airspeed and maneuverability once you get into the yellow altitude bracket. And last but not least, something I haven't mentioned yet is the Antonov is a premium plane. You can put any pilot in there that you want, right? And so I've currently got my highest point Soviet pilot, and that's my LA-15 pilot. That's an 11-point pilot is in my Masha. I've only got a 6-point pilot in my LA-160. So keep that in mind. If I had an 11-point pilot in my LA-160, that would obviously help with some of the other metrics. I would specifically go for Marksman 2, 100% on this particular plane. Getting that extra ability to actually hit your target is so important on the LA-160, and really any plane that has dual 30mm cannons, and really dual any cannons, but specifically 30mm cannons. Marksman 2 is so important because reducing the RNG to get your cannons to hit makes such a difference when your cannons do as much damage as these kind of cannons can do. I've got the exact same setup on the equipment right here as I do on my Masha. So we're doing an apples to apples comparison. It's not like I've completely changed my airframe or engine equipment to fit the plane. I wanted to do an apples to apples kind of situation. To be honest, this is the setup I would have on it anyway, but it makes it easier for the comparing a Masha to an LA-160. Got lightweight wing frame, lightweight power unit, got polished skin, and got uprated engine. That's my 4 for the airframe and the engine, and then I've got the gyroscopic sight. Gyroscopic sight's not a necessity with the Antonov, but I'd recommend it. It really is a necessity with the LA-160 because, again, you just need your cannons to hit. The other difference between the two planes is in the consumables, actually, once you've specialized it. The Masha's extra consumable is on the engine, so it allows you to put the engine back in, the manual engine restart. Where the extra consumable for the LA-160 is actually on the airframe, and so I've got the emergency control system as my extra consumable now that I've specialized this plane. That's the only difference between the equipment and the consumables of the two planes. And so, yeah, I've heard people say, you know, the Masha is a good plane. It's not overpowered, but it's better than the LA-160. I don't quite think that's true. I don't think it's better or worse. I just think they're different play styles, right? The LA-160 is completely out of left field down this line. You're going from the LA-5 and LA-7 and LA-9, which all have, you know, centrally located 20 or 23mm cannons, reasonably good maneuverability, reasonably good airspeed, lacking altitude performance. Then you go to this plane, which has great airspeed and maneuverability, and just completely different cannon style. Play them completely different. You can't hold down the trigger nearly as long. And I think that throws a lot of people off. And they're flying it as if it's an LA-9 or an LA-15 once they've gotten the LA-15. This is a plane that's out of, you know, it's in a different world compared to the rest of the tech line. but it's still a very good plane. Make sure that you are targeting the correct planes. We shouldn't be getting ourselves into dogfights with full health Spitfire 14s or Yak 15s, things of that nature. Be wary of things like J7Ws. Those types of planes will tear you up. But you've got heavy hitting cannons that can easily melt down multi-rolls and heavy fighters and even most ground attackers, as long as you're paying attention to your own health. If the enemy's turn fighter's on low health, go for him. All you need is one shot with a 30mm cannon, sometimes two. But you do such great damage. You're able to knock out wings and tails and pilots and all kinds of things because you've got the bigger cannons on this plane. Don't be afraid of those interactions, but you got to be smart about those interactions. Otherwise, this will be a very frustrating plane. One thing I do want to mention before I let you all go is I love the size of it. These wings are so small, the whole fuselage is small, and so you were able to see in a couple of those interactions that I had, I was able to dodge incoming fire, even though there was a head-on versus the Jawa or the Seahawk. You're able to dodge that just simply because of the size of your plane. Now, you can't rely on it. I wasn't relying on it. I was being stupid, really. But you've got that flexibility with this plane that you certainly don't have with the Masha. The Masha is not a big plane, but it does take up a lot of space. Stray bullets will hit you. I've got my engine knocked out, just flying around, not even like really in an engagement. And so to go from that to this plane, this is like a little tiny bing plane. It does make a difference, and you're never going to see that on any kind of paper. But the ability for the hitbox of the plane to just be smaller is certainly a good thing and helpful thing in a plane like the La-160. So I know nobody asked for this particular video, but I had a couple comments saying how the Masha was just straight up better than the La-160, and I don't think it's as simple as that. The cannons are, on paper, easier to use, but we've already discussed how these cannons being so far back and down kind of throws off your ability to hit, that even the cannons on this aren't completely simple, even if they are easier to use than the hard-hitting 30mm cannons of the standard Tier 9 Lavochkin La-160. I'd love to hear your opinion on it. Do you have this plane? Do you have the La-15? Was the La-15 worth the grind? This whole line was a line that I really didn't go down. It was one of the last fighter lines I went down, which is mind-boggling because I love fighters. I typically like fighter gameplay more than multi-role and heavy fighter gameplay, but this was one of the last lines I went down simply because on paper it looks like the poor man's Yak line. And I was like, well, why do I want a line that just has worse maneuverability and slightly better guns? Well, those slightly better guns are actually much better guns. And they're all centrally located. You can pinpoint your targets. And it's all about overall firepower with this particular line. And then once you get to the La-15, you get some excellent speed to go with that, and great maneuverability. So anyway, I'd love to hear your opinion in the comments down below, or feel free to hop in my Discord. Link should be down somewhere down there. And otherwise, I hope you have a great day. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.